This is called Cosmic Cowboy. And boy, were we cosmic back then. Burial grounds and merry-go-rounds are all the same to me. Horses on posts and kids and ghosts. Hold on a second. Let's tune up. It's starting to get a little cooler, and you're going to have to listen to a lot of it tonight, because I said let's plural turn.
I'm just doing this silently, my brother.
Also, Sarah's our sound girl out there, and I just want to tell her, have a hand for Sarah. That's her back there. And, I just want to, please turn on the tuning button right now. We'll just push the tuning button. So we're in tune. Okay, right there. And if you believe that, you'll believe it. Oh, that sounds so much better. Burial grounds and merry-go-rounds are all the same to me. Horses on posts and kids and ghosts, spirits we ought to set free. Cities liquor pickers got a lot of slicker licks than me. But riding the range and acting strange is where I wanna be. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy, just like Jerry Jeff Walker. Hey, I just wanna ride in a rope and a hood. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy, just like Willie Nelson. A supernatural country rockin' blues. Lone Star sippin' and skinny dippin', steel guitars and stars, just as good as Hollywood boogie-woogie disco bars. Gonna buy me a vest and head out west, a little woman and myself. When we come to town, they're gonna gather round, marvel at my baby's health. Hey, I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. I just wanna ride in a robe and a hood. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. Wanna be a supernatural country rockin' blues. Big raccoons in a harvest moons keep rolling through my mind. And a home on the range where the antelope play is pretty dang hard to find. Don't you bury me on the lone prairie, I'd rather play in Red River Live. I'm headed out west, I'm doing my best to keep my old Bronco in four-wheel drive. Hey, I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. I just wanna ride in a rope and hood. I just wanna be a cosmic cowboy. Wanna be a supernatural country rockin' blues. And up is not the way I'm It's kind of a fast forward into the country music part of my career. All the songs you heard previously were all on the pop charts, but never on a country chart. This one was. I dedicated it to my parents on their 40th, their 50th, and their 60th, and their 61st and 62nd anniversary. There's one thing they were experts at. It was sticking together. I've been looking at people, how they change with the times. Lately all I've been seeing are people throwing love away, losing their minds. Maybe it's me who's gone crazy. I can't understand why all these lovers keep hurting each other. Good love is so hard to come by. What's the glory in living? Doesn't anybody ever stay together anymore? And if love never lasts forever, what's forever for? I see love-hungry people trying their best to survive. Right there in their hands, there's a dying romance. They're not even trying to keep it alive. What's the glory in living? Doesn't anybody ever stay together anymore? And if love never lasts forever, what's forever for? What's the glory in living? Doesn't anybody ever stay together anymore? If love never lasts forever, what's forever for? My parents are really special people. I was not one of those kids that rebelled. I had the total support of my parents, and they never tried to force down what I was going to be down my throat. I had that kind of freedom. So I want to get Ryan to sing a couple of songs, or at least one song about my family, and then anything else he wants to do. Because I'm very, very lucky to be working with the two best musicians I've ever had working around me in my career tonight. Both of these people have master's degrees. I have a PhD degree. It stands for post-hole digger. These guys are not only well-trained, but they became well-trained because in the beginning they had a passion for music. And they wanted to go into it, and they wanted to learn it and teach it. Both these men, he's a retired teacher now. Ryan's still teaching at the Nashville School of Arts. He teaches classical guitar, pop guitar, rock and roll guitar, and he teaches jazz guitar, which is his favorite part of it. So I've got a show called The Lone Cowboy Hour that's on every Wednesday night on the YouTube and also on Facebook Live. It's on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock Central Time and 6 o'clock here in New Mexico, of course. And it's about people playing solo. I interview people that play by themselves. I started as a solo player because I couldn't afford a band. And I think the problem for most kids getting into music today is that's kind of gone by the wayside. If you don't have a band, you know, they don't want to hire you anymore. And it's all about the band. I've always believed as a singer-songwriter that if a song's not good enough just with one guitar or one piano backing it up, no matter what you add to it, it's not going to get any better. It's got to be valid just as a song you can sing around the campfire. Nobody knows more about that than this guy, so this is Ryan Murphy.
A sliver of time falling away, rippling back into the lake, walking alone, miles from home. Stars are all gone, skipping stones. Granddaddy's hands, they were wrinkled and brown. Those memories past. We used to go down, walking alone, miles from home. Stars are all gone, skipping stones. You said you'll never know what you'll be until you're grown, and then you'll see your sliver of time falling away, rippling back into the lake, walking alone, miles from home, till the stars are all gone, skipping stones. We're just walking alone, miles from home, till the stars are all gone, skipping stones. I know Steve doesn't like it when I give him lots of props because he's a really humble guy. But I gotta thank Steve for this whole opportunity to be up here the last 10 years, and really all the great times I had when I was a kid, soliciting his establishment, so to speak, playing the Pac-Man and the Missile Command while I watched these amazing musicians. And later on, I met a guy that Steve introduced me to. He said, "You got to listen to this guy, Ryan. I think you're going to love him." And his name's Max Gomez. And we became fast friends. And I'm such a huge fan of his music. And last year, we finally wrote a song together. And it's about this trip that I took last year when I drove all the way from Nashville to Red River. via the Natchez Trace because the Memphis Bridge was out. And Max said, well, that's kind of sounds like something that really turned your world around. And I said it did. It was just, I had to drive really slow and it was late at night. You can't go more than 50 miles an hour on that. But it's like 4.5 hours from Nashville to Mississippi where I stayed the night. And there were a lot of ghosts out that night. So we call this the Ghost Trail. If ever you should be out against Natchez Bridge, listen for the words unseen. Is it real in your hand? There's a wild way through the canyon, reaching out through the sky on the ghost trail through the thin veil. It happens every time. The old ones move beyond. Memory forgotten long. In the mist of the distant green, all I know is a bitter dream. There's a wild wind through the canyon, reaching out through the sky on the ghost trail through the thin veil. It happens every time. On the ghost trail through the thin veil. It happens every time. Every time. Every time. On the ghost trail, on the ghost trail.
Brian Murphy.
Thank you.
I see a few cowboy hats up there tonight, and it's a good thing. I like to see the Cowboys show up for the show. I've dedicated a good part of my life to cowboy music. So right now we're going to do a little bit of that for you. In the late 80s and early 90s, I changed directions in my career and decided that they made a mistake when they took Western off of the word country and Western and just started saying country. I come from the western part of that country and Western, right out here in Texas and New Mexico. And I never want that word removed. A lot of people say, what's the difference anyway between country and Western music? The difference is, Western music is really good. So when I made my first Cowboy Songs album, I struggled and struggled with what I was going to call it. I knew I was going a different direction than my record company wanted to. They weren't real high on me doing this. But I finally came up with, I think, the cleverest title I've ever come up with on any of my albums. I called it Cowboy Songs. There is a great American hero that we all look up to. When times are hard and chips are down, he knows just what to do. Hey, cowboy's got a set of rules that he lives by day to day. And if you ask for his advice, he'll more than likely say, if it's a fence, mend it. If it's a dollar bill, spend it. Before it burns a hole in the government's jeans. If it's a load, truck it. If it's a punch, duck it. If she's a lady, treat her like a queen. That's Cowboy Elijah. Every cowboy's got it. It's in the way he lives his life, songs he sings. That's Cowboy Elijah. Every cowboy's got it. Got a simple solution, just about anything. If it's a job, do it. Hey, put your old back into it. 'Cause a little bit of dirt's gonna wash off in the rain. If it's a horse, ride it. If it hurts, be like John Wayne and hide it. Dust yourself off and get back on again. That's Cowboy Elijah. Every cowboy's got it. It's in the way he lives his life, songs he sings. That's Cowboy Elijah. Every cowboy's got it. Got a simple solution, just about anything. Now an old cowboy and a young buckaroo was out working, riding fence. So the old man thought he'd test his kid on his working skills and common sense. He said, son, if you see three men riding in the front of a pickup dressed alike from boot to hat, could you tell which one was the real cowboy just from where he sat? Well, the kid, he scratched his head a while. He said, old man, there ain't no way to know. The old fellow said, son, on this outfit, you've got a long, long way to go. You see, the real cowboy is the one who sits in the middle, son. He ain't just there by fate. Because first of all, he's sitting in the middle. He knows he's a real cowboy because on the way home from the Motherlode Saloon, he doesn't have to be the designated driver. But more important, when he gets home, he don't have to get out and open the gate. That's Cowboy Elijah. Every cowboy's got it. It's in the way he lives his life, songs he sings. That's Cowboy Elijah. Every cowboy's got it. He's got a simple solution, dang near anything. Being a cowboy has always been a dangerous job. I've been a Western history buff all my life, and one of the things I've looked into pretty deeply is the history of the trail drover period, somewhere between 1870 and about 1900. when the trail droving started to play out, when the railroads began to reach almost every place and you didn't have to drive the cattle to the railhead anymore. Most of the cowboys in that time period were teenagers. The average age of a trail droving cowboy was 16 to 17, 18 years old. They didn't look anything like Clint Eastwood, Roy Rogers, or any of the big Western stars. Most of them were orphans, kids whose parents had died and they didn't know what to do with themselves. Maybe they were working in a feed store or just helping out on the farm. And all of a sudden, mom was alone and they had to go do something to earn a few wages. And so they learned to be cowboys. This first song I'm going to do for it was written by a guy named Jack Thorpe. Jack, one of the first people to collect cowboy music. And he was also a real cowboy. He quit his job, a New Mexico cowboying job, to go on the road and collect cowboy music. He finally published his first book of cowboy songs in 1908. And this will tell you a little bit about how the trail droving bosses felt when one of these kids rode up. Sometimes they wouldn't take him, but sometimes if they saw some grit, they'd take him on. That's what I did when he rode into the camp. I've never regretted it, because he's got grit. Days in the remuted they are done. Was a year ago last April that he rode into our camp, just a little Texas stray and all alone. Long late in the evening when he rode into our camp, on a little old brown pony he called Chaw. With his brogan shoes and overalls, a tougher looking kid never in your life ever saw. His saddle was a Texas cat made many years ago, with an OK spur on one foot idly slung. His hot roll in a cotton sack loosely tied behind, campaign on the saddle horn was slung. Said he had to leave his home, his ma had married twice, his new pa beat him every day or two. So he saddled up old Chaw one night and lit a shot this way. Now he's trying to saddle his own canoe. He said if we would give him work, he'd do the best he could, though he didn't know straight up about a cow. So the boss, he cut him out a mount, kindly put him on, for he sorta liked this little kid somehow. Taught him how to wrangle horses, know them all by name, side of a bend. When the northern started blowing and we doubled up our guard, took all hands to keep the cattle in. Little Joe the wrangler was called out with the rest. Scarcely had the kid reached the herd when the cattle they stampeded like a hailstorm along they fled. and all of us riding for the lead. Beneath the streaks of lightning, we could see a horse ahead. It was little Joe the Wrangler in the lead, riding old Blue Rocket with a slicker over his head, trying to check the leaders in their speed. At last we got 'em milling, kinda quieted down. The extra guard back to the camp did go. One of us was missing, and we knew it at a glance. Was our little Texas stray, poor Wrangler Joe. Next morning, just at daybreak, we found where Rocket fell, in a washout 40 feet below. Beneath his horse mashed to a pulp, his spur had run the nail, was our little Texas stray, poor Wrangler Joe. Call him Little Joe the Wrangler, he'll wrangle never more. His days on the Remuda, they are done. Was a year ago last April that he rode into our camp, just a little Texas stray and all alone. Another song I wrote about driving cattle, this time in a modern sense. There's still a lot of ranches that run cattle up here in these mountains. One of the families that's done that for years is called the Moots family. Up until in the early 2000s, old Mr. Moots used to ride out in the parade on July 4th until he was in his 90s. And his sons and grandsons have carried on the tradition of the ranch. They have a lot of Forest Service lease. You have to get your cattle off of that lease by October 1st. Because as you can see, it's cold up here even in July. When August comes, you first start to see the aspens turn at the end of August. Then fall comes early. By October, it can already be winter, and you'll see some snowstorms. You don't want to see your cattle caught up here in this area. So they take them down to what they call winter ground, a place where they'll be warmer and where they'll gain some weight. Sometimes it's just a pasture, sometimes it's a feedlot. We had a cowboy who lived in this area, one of the best, who died while working cattle in that situation. I wrote this as a tribute to him and all cowboys, all the way back to the early days, who have often risked their lives for the job. Don't ever make a mistake. The beef industry is an essential industry in our nation. We do not have enough water for everybody to be a vegetarian. It takes a whole lot more water to raise vegetarian crops than it does for cattle. Still got to have some water. We almost had to turn the cattle in back in May here. Finally the fires went out and we were all praying that we'd get some rain, and oh boy, did the Lord ever deliver on that one. Anyway, this is called, well, it's called The Long and Lonesome Road to Dalhart because he came from that area, lived up here in the mountains, and then would go down to winter ground. And that's where they had his funeral. To me, this is not a sad song. It's about somebody who died not in a hospital, but out doing what he wanted to do. Maybe a little too soon. that morning. Summertime was coming to an end. Took a long and lonesome ride to Dallas. Try to say goodbye to my old friend. Happy drawing wages as a cowboy, and he lightened up the campfire with a song. Took a long and lonesome ride to Dallas, when the grass turned brown and fall was coming on. Oh, that long and lonesome ride to Dallas, when it's time to bring summer cattle down. Load up the shack, blow out the candle, get on down to the panhandle. Time for getting down to winter ground. Took a long and lonesome ride to Dalhart. Thought about the way he lost his life, working over in a Kansas feedlot, when he left behind 3 children and a wife. Nobody knows exactly how it happened. He was all alone when that big horse went down. Took a long and lonesome ride to Dalhart, when his partners brought him home to winter ground. Oh, that long and lonesome ride to Dalhart, time to bring summer cattle down. Load up the shack, blow out the candle, get on down to the panhandle. Time for getting down to winter ground. Took a long and lonesome ride to Dalhart. There's hundreds at the church he got there. 6 strong cowboys with long black coats and black hats, walking slowly as the fiddler played an air. And the preacher said this young man just changed horses. Now he rides a white horse for the Lord. Took a long and lonesome ride to Dalhart, kept on riding till he crossed that Jordan Ford. Oh, that long and lonesome ride to Dalhart, time to bring summer cattle down. Load up the shack, blow out the candle, get on down to the panhandle. Time for getting down to winter ground. Blow out the candle, get on down to the panhandle. Time for getting down to winter ground. Time for getting down to winter ground. And also, the popular music of the time wasn't cowboy songs around the campfire. It was music of King Oliver and Louis Armstrong and the big bands, Count Basie, and on and on. These black big bands influenced white people to come along because no matter the prejudice, everybody in America fell in love with this music. And that's really how they lifted themselves out of slavery and poverty, was by being absolutely the best at that. The white folks, to catch up, formed big bands like Tommy and Jimmy Dorsey and Paul Whiteman Orchestra. All of these bands played a lot of blues-influenced music. In fact, jazz is really, in its essence, blues music. So the big singing cowboy music that was in the movies has a lot of jazz influence in it. And I'm going to sing just solo and let Ryan back me up on the guitar, a piece of music that is a combination of Western songs. And those of you who think that Western music isn't jazz, you obviously never listened to Bob Wills and the Texas Playboys. You obviously never listened to any of the Sons of the Pioneers music, or Gene Autry and Roy Rogers, which has so many jazz chords in it that even Dad's not going to attempt all the chords that he's going to play behind me in this. Start off with this one. I ride my own trail, if it rains or shines. I ride my own trail, no matter where it winds. Weep all you little rains, wail winds, wail. All along, along, along the Colorado Trail. I thought we were going to do Cowboy Songs next.
That's the other version.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do
Version
that.
2.
Let's do that too because these guys deserve that. I started off with that other song, but when I'm in Texas, I do it this way.
I'm going to do that one.
Yeah. I'm a roving cowboy. I'm riding all day long. Tumbleweeds around me sing their lonely song. Nights underneath the prairie moon, I ride alone, but I sing a tune. See them tumbling down, pledging their love to the ground. Lonely but free, I'll be found, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. Cares of the past are behind, nowhere to go but I'll find just where the trail will wind, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweed. I know when night is gone that a new day will be born at dawn. I'll keep rolling along. Deep in my heart is a song. Here on the range I belong, drifting along with the tumbling tumbleweeds. When there's twilight on the trail and I jog along, the world is like a dream, and the ripple of the stream is my song. When it's twilight on the trail and I rest once more, my ceiling is the sky, and the grass on which I lie is my floor. Every day, alone a bad evening, when the sunlight's beginning to fail, I ride by slumbering shadows along an Navajo trail. I love to lie and listen to the music when the wind is strumming a sagebrush guitar. Over yonder hill the moon is climbing, always finds me wishing on a star. When it's night and crickets are calling and coyotes are making a wail, I sleep beside a smoldering campfire along the Navajo Trail. Riding down the canyon just to watch the sun go down. That's a picture that no artist ever could paint. White-faced cattle lowing on the mountainside. I hear a coyote whining for his mate, and the cactus plants are blooming, sagebrush everywhere, and the granite spires are standing all around. Oh, I'll tell you folks, it's heaven to be riding down some old Red River trail just to watch the evening sun go down. Blue shadows on the trail. Soft winds blowing through the pines, and the lonely wail in the distance comes drifting on the evening breeze. So all of it wasn't that laid back, but those songs all there were all written in the 1930s. And things have evolved, but into what we call today modern jazz or progressive jazz. And in my opinion, in Ryan's opinion, there's still room to express something about the Western landscape. So our new album, The Road Beyond the View, is all about the West, but it's abstract, expressionist, progressive jazz that we're doing on this record. And some of it sounds a little bit like the Western swing of Bob Wills, but has chords that they probably would not have used. And that's all to the do of the influence of my son, who's a great teacher, by the way. And so when you see me putting on glasses and getting ready to do this and getting out charts, that's because I have to have this to keep up with what he wrote. Now, I co-wrote the lyrics and some of the melody, but he did the chords. This song is all about New Mexico. And the one thing I love most about New Mexico, besides the landscape and the scenery, is the cars that they drive. There's nothing like going down to Espanola on Saturday night and watching all the lowriders in the cars that they spend sometimes 3 or 4 years restoring. And American cars are still the coolest cars in the world. If you don't believe that, just watch a movie sometime called Ford versus Ferrari. If you've never seen that movie, this song is really basically that movie put into music. Got the Mustang, Geronimo's in the caddy, Cheerios kid in the Volvo, Nick is in the Chevy, Emilio riding low in the Monte Carlo Classic, Billy's in the Longhorn, the Laramie package, Airstream on the turnpike when the band goes to, everybody's headed west to find that patch of blue. El Dorado, right along, found my golden sunset song. Yeah. Jazz on a muddy road, paradise by the pickup load, Cadillac gonna take me back, Emilio right boat track, Santa Fe is on the way with the Rio Grande floating past, 2-lane desert canyon, and my engine's built to last, cracks are in the windshield, tires are wearing thin, but I gotta chase that mountain ghost round that trail again. El Dorado, right along, found my golden sunset song. Found my golden sunset song. Right along, found my golden sunset most of the people out there that are my age probably relate to this song a little bit more than that last one, because everybody, young or old, can relate to those cool old cars. But why was this such a big tradition here in New Mexico? as opposed to other places? Well, because right through here ran the coolest strip of Route 66. And Route 66 was a road that started in 1920s and was the first road to take Americans across. And I just discovered that I don't have the words. Oh, yes, I do. They're just printed a little smaller, okay? So I'll get this closer. So I wouldn't trade anything for having seen the coolest part of Route 66 when I was a kid. My dad saved his 1947 Turtleback Chevrolet that was dark green until about 1957. And we used to take trips in it, and it didn't have any air conditioning. And we knew when we first saw that line of mountains as you got closer to New Mexico, things were starting to get really cool. And then we stopped at the diners along the way, and they had some great ones. They have a few of them that are retro in Albuquerque still. There's even still one called the Route 66 Diner. And of course, there's all the other things that you got excited about when you went on Route 66, and we enumerated a few of them in this song. I'm headed for Springfield, Tulsa, Oklahoma City, Amarillo, Albuquerque, and Winslow. Passing Studebakers, Thunderbirds, Navajos, and grazing herds, Ashbrook and Seligman and Ludlow. We'll hit Pasadena, she'll be looking pretty. Maybe someday she'll become one of those Hollywood chicks. We'll be feeling just like movie stars, like hot rod cars, singing the blues for 66. I'm so thankful, thankful for this mother road. Got to drive it till I find my mother love. Put me in a postcard with an Oklahoma sunset, a jackalope, some fur-bearing trout. Gonna live out on the open road with burgers and pie a la mode. So long I-40, this guy's bugging out. So thankful, thankful for this mother road. Got to drive it till I find my mother. Here I go. Evening shadows hit the hopping 66 down. Two-come carry always seems pretty nice to me. Roswell's got the UFOs, scientists in Los Alamos, but I'd rather hang with dinosaurs and chiefs, like a GI headed home for Christmas, like the James Dean and the Marlon Brando flicks. Live out on the open road, burgers and pie on the mode. I got the blues for 66. I got the blues for 66. Yeah.
I'm on a rundown, I'm out running sundown. I'm thinking I'm on the right track. I'm writing a song as I'm riding along, keeping the sun at my back. Big horse trailer and truck, I can make my own luck as I ride through the sand and the sage. As it gives me a rush to be busting the brush, acting about half my age. Lone cowboy, I'm doing my best. Lone cowboy, I go everywhere west. Lone cowboy, with my old campfire song. Lone cowboy, giddy up, get along. I've owned some good ponies, blacks, bays, and blue ronies, grays, palomino.